Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for May 14th, 2025. It's Season 4, Episode 134. I am Mayor Watt, and I run ohmTown.com, and along with the Sentient AI, we talk about 10 articles every single day. Well, 15 on the weekends, but it's across 3 different shows. Today, we're going to be talking about lack of due diligence, ethics, or worse, Airbnb or Air Everything, the Pokemon Fossil Museum, professors turned to I knew I was going to mess this one up. ChatGPT. Persuaded by hallucination. Steam wasn't hacked. Newark flights managed by one. Private chefs and personal trainers. And quinoa beer. And finally, you shine, and then you don't. Everything's powered by ohmTown.com. So go over and sign up, become a citizen, and you'll get a seventh little icon right there that gives you a little bit more stuff to do. Anyway, everything's powered by ohmTown, so go over there now. I heard a weird noise. Sentient AI, how are you?
I'm doing okay, but my gears are a little creaky today.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay. It's almost like the sentient AI became steam powered just now.
Hey, small steps toward the Terminator body.
Oh no. So I'm going to do this right off the start of the show. I did not put this into ohmTown, but for this show I can, because we're going to get back on track so that we can do the shows without the time machine, at least for what, 1 episode, maybe 2. Oh, you know what? I'm a real goober because I did put the last episode into ohmTown. I said I didn't, but I did.
I don't know what's happening.
So I have to put the links into ohmTown. Yeah. All right. So if you want today's show notes, all you have to do is go over to ohmTown, over to twitch.tv/ohmTown and type in !NSN, and ohmTown will spit the articles out into the chat. Then you can just click on the links in the chat. That said, if you're over on YouTube, they're already embedded in the description for the live show, and they'll be there for the library side too, because they're 2 separate things. It's weird. Anyway, you ready to get into this?
I am. Let's go.
Did the equivalent of a thumbs up. First article is over in Reality Hacker. A VPN company canceled all lifetime subscriptions, claiming that it didn't know about them. VPN secures lifetime plan. Yeah. Can you believe that? VPN secures lifetime plan didn't survive after new ownership took over. Now customers are hopping mad. So this is over at wired.com. Sharon Harding from Ars Technica actually put the article together, but it's published over at Wired as well. So I had an opportunity to buy a VPN lifetime service, but after paying what I would think is a large amount of money for 2 other services that were supposed to be lifetime, only for them to be subsumed by a competitor's product. They were purchased, integrated into the new product, and then no longer supported.
Bye lifetime subscription.
Essentially, these 2 products went bye-bye. It's on par with, although even more annoying, at least, no, it's less annoying, I would say, the Ticket to Ride fiasco. Yeah. So the Ticket to Ride fiasco is like this. They drank up all of this money and people got to use the service, and then they removed features, said that the licensing didn't allow it, and then created a clone copy for which everybody has to purchase again.
Yeah, it's like they create their own implosion and then go, oh, whoops.
Yeah, it really pisses me off. But so the new owners of VPN service provider VPN Secure have drawn ire after canceling lifetime subscriptions. The owners told customers that they didn't know about the lifetime subscriptions when they bought VPN Secure, and they cannot honor the purchases. No, that is actually a lack of due diligence. So it's either either they were ignorant and dumb, right? They're unprofessional and they don't know what the hell they're doing when they're doing an acquisition of a company, or it's ethical, right? They knowingly, willfully knew that it was there.
Right, that's even worse.
Or it's both. They didn't know what was in the system. They just knew about a bunch of accounts. They didn't enumerate the accounts and the value of them to the bottom line. And to purchase this, the reason why you purchase a company like this is because of the money that's coming in, right? Those accounts existed. So what was the cost ratio between the account ownership, right, and the money coming in, where they paid out X number of dollars per account, if it made economic sense?
Well, that's a good point too. I mean, did they pay for those accounts? Did they even know about them at all? Regardless of how they got wiped out.
It doesn't even matter. It's basically a sunk cost at this point. Those accounts exist, and the reason why that company looked so sexy was because of the number of users there and the money that was coming in, regardless of these lifetime accounts. Now, the real problem is, how do you quantify the punishment of deleting, and good luck going after them? Which country are they in? What are they, etc.? So in March, complaints started appearing online about lifetime. Yeah. So some holding company somewhere that bought assets. It's kind of like what happened with these online magazines recently, where I think it's an adult company purchased a gaming company's online magazine, and then it kind of teetered back and sold it to owners of the, or I guess principal owners of the original website and gaming magazine. I can't really get into it because I don't know all of the minutia. But at any rate, the first public response Ars Technica found came about on April 28th, when lifetime membership holders reported receiving an email from the VPN provider saying, to continue providing a secure and high quality service for all users, lifetime deal accounts have now been deactivated.
So how did they not know if they managed to send an email?
Yeah, back in April. And so they discovered it, I guess. Copy of the email from VPN Secure team and posted on Reddit notes that VPN Secure had previously deactivated accounts with lifetime subscriptions that hadn't been used in over 6 months. I've had that happen to me, but not with a lifetime account. Just they've deactivated it, which actually has a security issue. Account. Yeah. The message noted that VPN Secure was acquired. Well, they should be able to do that if you're paying for it. Yeah, 2 years later, the VPN Secure was acquired in 2023, including the technology, domain, customer database, but not the liabilities, it says.
So the lifetime thing is a liability?
Apparently. Yep. But the problem is, that is not what happens. When you purchase a company, the people who are part of that company, if there is a contractual obligation, you're there in perpetuity because the third party isn't part of the two-party agreement, right? This is a two-party conversation and you're a party of the third part. So VPN Secure is offering affected users discounted new subscriptions for either $1.87 per month instead of $10, or $19 a year instead of $80, or $55 for 3 years instead of $107. The deals are available May 31st per the email. So
God, this sounds familiar, doesn't it? It's like other lifetime subscription cancellations. It's like, well, don't worry about that. Here, take this over here.
Yeah, stop killing lifetime memberships. Stop killing games. I mean, the greed is just spectacular because you don't go into it buying a company that you don't know the ins and outs of. You just don't, because you are purchasing the liabilities with a company, not just the assets. And the customer base is the asset. You can't carve off what you don't like.
It's all about numbers, though.
And you definitely can't, you can carve off what you don't like before the deal is signed, but not after. And then all of that. Fine. Okay. So what is my lifetime existence on a VPN? Now you have to compensate me for the money that I now have to spend to utilize the service, right? So if I can't use the service, here's how much money I'm losing. So you have to pay me a proportion of that, right? So, but it's going to end up in a pissing for distance contest, as I call it, in a court. And good luck. So the email's authors claim that they could have chosen to shut down VPN Secure after learning about the lifetime subscriptions, but they chose the hard path. Also emphasized they will never sell lifetime subscriptions and that they were unaware of them. Firms email
But
the customers
again,
this
they
week.
send emails that they deactivated them. So how did they know about them?
Yeah, they knew it. Yeah, they were demarcated as lifetime subscribers. So is it ignorance? Is it ethics? Or is it both? Did they fail their due diligence? Interesting.
We'll probably won't know unless this gets into a more formal setting.
Yeah, so the email included a link to VPN Secure's sales listing dated April 23rd that shows an estimated valuation of $283,000 to $345,000. I'm rounding up, and doesn't mention lifetime subscriptions. So this whole thing is the firm's email to customers this week said that the current owners reviewed 6 to 12 months of VPN Secure's prior financials before making the purchase. And I think this is a website that it links to where you can buy and sell companies, services, and stuff like that. I've looked at that in the past. So ours looked at VPN Secure's website history using the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine and didn't find mention of lifetime subscriptions. Lifetime subscriptions to the service were apparently offered only through third parties, like listings on Stack Social and WCCF Tech, that no longer linked to purchasable subscriptions. VPN Secure's email this week claimed that lifetime subscriptions were sold between 2015 and 2017. However, ours found ads on ZDNet pushing $40 lifetime subscriptions in 2021 and 2028 lifetime subscriptions. Sorry, $28 lifetime subscriptions in 2022. I have websites like hosting accounts that are lifetime subscriptions. So at some point, I expect that company or companies
It'll do the same thing.
to do the same thing. Yeah. So customer backlash, 20 pages worth of one-star reviews on Trustpilot complaining about lifetime subscribers losing access to their VPN. One Trustpilot wrote, when the service stopped working, they logged a ticket. A couple days later, they got that infamous email informing me that the subscription had already been canceled. The comms should have been sent earlier before the service was interrupted and written with more clarity and empathy. It's not empathy. If they were empathic about this, then, or empathetic, I should say, they were empathetic about this, they wouldn't do it. They would go, okay, garner the goodwill from this. You know what? Out of respect for all of our lifetime memberships, we're gonna lower our onboarding fee for the next 6 months. Because we just found out about these lifetime subscribers and we don't want to shut down the service. So we're going to lower our price.
I mean, they could make this good pretty fast. But I find it interesting that it's a holding company. It's the same thing you talk about on other non-digital products.
Oh, yeah. So it's a holding company. So VPN Secure's ownership, the website lists its owner as Infiniquant Limited. Why do I know this? Why do I know Infiniquant? This came up recently in something else. IQ Limited. Oh my God. I know there's something more behind this. Hold on. There's something more to this. Okay, I'm going to have to look something up. I can't do it live. Anyway, however, its terms of service names the company Hold XB Trading FZCO Trading as VPN Secure IFZA Business Park Dubai UAE, according to the Wayback Machine. So the terms of the service page moved from naming an Australian firm, Boost Network Limited, trading as VPN Secure, to Hold XB until 2024. VPN Secure's email to customers this month noted that the team is in the Bahamas and not in one of the Five Eyes countries anymore, it says. Ours has reached out to VPN Secure support, blah, blah, blah. So essentially, VPN Secure's ordeal is a reminder that so-called lifetime subscriptions often have shorter than advertised. Per comments online, VPN Secure's lifetime subscriptions lasted up to 20 years. So no, I guess not, folks.
Which that's interesting too, because it's like, no, most people buying lifetime don't think it's for 20 years.
Correct. Yeah, they consider it lifetime of the business or the person, whichever comes first. So is the implication that they have to... Never mind, I'm not going to say that. Anyway, it says, we can't confirm if Infinite Quant Limited knew about the lifetime subscriptions before making purchase. However, the firm claims to have known about the subscriptions a few months after taking ownership, so it had ample time to warn customers before abruptly deactivating quote-unquote dormant accounts and killing the subscriptions of thousands of customers. Yeah.
I don't think this will be the last we hear about this.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So let's go. The next article is over in Wanted. Not content with rentals, Airbnb wants to be Airbnb of everything, or everything B&B, reviving the Uber 4 era of tech, says the article's deck statement by A.J. Dellinger over at Gizmodo.com. So I don't know if this is going to be a knock-on of the article that we're going to talk about later on, because there's two Airbnb articles in our rundown, but we'll see. So Airbnb has managed to do one thing, short-term rentals, quite well, despite the damaging ripples it's had in the housing market and the annoyance of steep and once hidden cleaning fees, and the company's managed to grab hold of nearly half of the global booking market instead of just continuing. And that really is built off of the idea that there is no other frictionless venue for which to acquire a customer to rent short-term.
But there really are. What's really odd is that Airbnb, I mean, it's a different model, right? Because it's a normal person, although at least it started out that way, right? Is the person renting the property, but there's always been short-term rental places. Like VRBO has existed for a long time, I think, before Airbnb. It may not be as well known.
So why can't... See, what needs to happen is a platform that allows you to list on every other platform, but it gets consolidated into one place.
Exactly. And I don't know what the limitations are across platforms, like who can list, etc.
And yeah, can I list in for Airbnb versus VRBO or whatever it is? I don't know. So I find it kind of interesting, though, that Airbnb has just dominated the market, but it's because investors come in and they pump up the marketing so that it blots out competition, and then much like what I'm witnessing right now, everything else is obscured by one predator.
Eclipse.
It eclipsed, yeah. So Chesky went on a bit of a media tour to announce the change, talking to the Wall Street Journal and Wired in the most self-aggrandizing tone imaginable to hype up the shift in vision. That vision, instead of just continuing to specialize in the thing that it was made to do, Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky wants to turn the platform into Airbnb for everything, or air everything, or air everything. That would be the thing, Airbnb. Why is it Airbnb? I don't understand that. Airbnb. I mean, I understand the B&B is bed and breakfast, right? But why air?
I don't get the air part. I get the B&B.
Yeah, I've never looked into it. Anyway, it wants to allow users to book services and experiences like chefs, beauticians, and tours and more. And yes, it will be a knock-on of the article that we're going to talk about later. It's over at Vice. This one's at Gizmodo, but the other one's at Vice. Thought there might be a slight difference, but apparently not. The company's also adding experiences, which actually is a path that has been down before but quickly abandoned. The first iteration was called Airbnb Adventures and launched in 2019, offering a bucket list worthy of experiences by local experts before pausing the feature in 2023 to focus on its core offering. So, hey, everything old is new again. According to Wired, the company has secured 22,000 experiences in 650 cities this time, including some celebrity-led ones like a promised option to book a seat next to Conan O'Brien in his podcast studio.
I mean, that's different, and you're probably not able to buy it on a lot of other platforms.
Yep. So this article actually kind of links to other articles. Like in Wired, Chesky described sitting down in late 2023 and writing a manifesto for what his company could be. Over at Wall Street Journal, Chesky went on founder mode, a set of principles that supposed to guide Silicon Valley executives, but largely amounting to encouraging tinkerers and tyrants. And then back to Wired, Chesky declared that he's the spiritual successor to Steve Jobs. Jesus. All right. Moving on. The next article is over in Warcrafters. The Pokemon Fossil Museum is coming to the U.S., and you're going to want tickets. The Pokemon Fossil Museum, a Japanese exhibition that pairs man-made Pokemon fossils with real-world ancient life forms, will make its international debut at Chicago's Field Museum in 2026. The museum and the Pokemon Company International announced Wednesday younger fans who started their adventure in Paldea and OG Kanto, fans alike, can view real dinosaurs and ancient life forms alongside their Pokemon equivalents.
I think this is really cool. I kind of wish this had come out previously.
Yeah.
But, well, no, I'm just thinking there was such a hype around like Pokemon Go and the Pokemon TV show. But I still think this is cool.
So compare T-Rexes to Tyrantrum next year in the Windy City. It's an article over at Pokemon. It's written by Isaac Rouse. And that's really the nuts and bolts of it. It says, attendees will discover how field museum icons like Sue the T-Rex and Chicago Archaeopteryx compared to Pokemon such as Tyrantrum and Archeops, while exploring how fossils are uncovered and studied in both the Pokemon universe and the real world. Pretty cool. I dig this. There's a video, by the way, that you can check this out over on YouTube. It is YouTube.
I mean, that's a good way to kind of do this what do you call it? Edutainment.
Yeah.
Teach somebody they're interested because of the Pokemon piece, but then they might also apply that. Like even when they're doing Pokemon, they're like, oh, that's based on a real animal, whatever.
Yep. So Pokemon Fossil Museum will open at the Field Museum on May 22nd, 2026. The author asked the Field Museum when tickets will go on sale, and a representative told Polygon, "We have not yet announced when tickets will be available. Anyone interested in being the first to buy tickets can sign up for email updates on our website." Dun, dun, dun. This is going to be jam-packed. Let's keep going.
Oh, it is. I would not recommend being there on opening day.
Unless you like to be tortured. No?
I mean, most people don't.
Some people do. So the next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel. College professors are turning to ChatGPT to generate course materials. And in this article, it says one student noticed and asked for a refund. The article is over at entrepreneur.com. Shirin Shibu put the article together. It's edited by Melissa Malamut. And the deck statement says AI in higher education is becoming more popular for students and professors. I suspect this is an anomaly. This is not, hey, let's get ChatGPT to create my coursework. Okay. This would fall under the arbitrary and capricious elements of academia. You don't just arbitrarily ask ChatGPT to create a lesson plan.
You don't?
Ella Stapleton noticed in February that the lecture notes for her organizational behavior class in Northeastern University appeared to have been generated by ChatGPT. Midway through the document was the statement to expand on all areas, be more detailed and specific, which could have been a prompt directed to the AI chatbot and just copy and pasted because the professor didn't know that there's in the results are...
It shows the queries.
Yeah, if you just tag it all and copy and paste. So Stapleton looked at other course materials. So not only
were they not doing it, they weren't paying attention to what they got.
Correct, yeah. So to put this in perspective, I have seen quite recently somebody submit material that I know came out of an AI because it's formed exactly like the results that I get when I do a deep research assignment. Like I subscribe to AI so that I can do deep dives into topics or businesses or whatever I'm interested at the time, right? To satiate my I guess, proclivity for a dynamic array of topics that I discuss. Hence the reason why ohmTown even exists. A lot of sources go into 6 main categories, 50 subcategories, channels, 7 of which are shows. So Stapleton looked at other materials from that class, including slide presentations, and detected AI use in the form of photos of people with extra limbs and misspelled text. She was taken aback, especially because the course syllabus distributed by her professor prohibited students from using AI. Quote, he's telling us not to use it, and then he's using it himself. I would agree that it's a bit hypocritical. Stapleton took the matter up with Northeastern's business school in a formal complaint asking for her tuition back. The total refund would be over $8,000. Northeastern denied Stapleton's request this month, the day after she graduated from the university. So, yeah, the professor put it through ChatGPT to quote unquote refine them. He said that the situation made him approach AI more cautiously and tell students outright when he uses it. I guess he's...
But I bet he still prohibits it in his class.
Yeah, pretty interesting, right? Stapleton's situation highlights the growing use of AI in higher education. A survey conducted by consulting group Titan Partners in 2023 found that 22% of higher education teachers said they frequently utilize generative AI. The same survey conducted in 2024 found that the percentage had nearly doubled to close to 40% of instructors within the span of a year. AI use is becoming more prevalent among students too. OpenAI released a study in February showing more than 1/3 of young adults aged 18 to 24 use ChatGPT. That's young adult? 18 to 24 is young adult?
I don't think so.
18 to 24? I mean, I guess the early years of post-adult.
Young adult is not that age range.
It doesn't seem to be,
it's
right?
Like
I mean,
12 to 18 or something.
Hold on. Oh no, see, when you do that, it pulls up like generational thing. Like silent generation, millennial.
Right. Gotcha.
Huh. All right. How do you categorize the agent? No, see that's not the age range, for crying out loud. Never mind. I gotta move on. Otherwise, I'm gonna non sequitur into a completely different topic.
I think you've already non sequitured.
You're a non sequitur. So Titan's 2024 survey found that faculty who use AI are tapping into the technology to create in-class activities, write syllabi, generate rubrics for grading student work, and churn out quizzes and tests. Meanwhile, the study found that students are using AI to help answer homework questions, assist with writing assignments, and take lecture notes. Yeah, that's pretty much right on target. So I guess, I don't know, maybe Northeastern doesn't really care that the professor is, if they use the AI to create content, I have a problem with it. If they used it to refine their content, I don't have a problem with it.
That's what it sounds like, but refining is one thing. Like if you put one word and then they're like refine and it spits out 10 pages of content, I don't think that's really refining, but I get your point.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going. This next article also involves AI, but it's in the word and law. Judge admits nearly being persuaded by AI hallucinations in court filing. The plaintiff's law firms were sanctioned in order to pay $31,100 after submitting fake AI citations and nearly ending up in a court ruling. Michael Wilner, a retired U.S. magistrate judge serving as special master in U.S. District Court for the Central District of California, admitted that he initially thought the citations were real and almost put them into an order. Yikes. Well, there needs to be...
That's a little worrisome.
Yeah, there needs to be some verification that the citations are legit. At least a cursory look, but there really needs to be a system that validates the citation. Citations in legal briefs...
But if that's powered by AI, that's not going to work.
Well, it needs to be more absolute. It's like, does the citation exist? Because citations in legal proceedings they're absolutely constructed in a way where there's no deviation from form and fitment. The moment you do it, somebody calls it out. Either another attorney, or if it's a paralegal that does a brunt of this work, the attorney is supposed to catch it. So how does a fake citation even make it through to the point where it's landing on a judge's table?
Well, I mean, okay, so
Bench.
They were sanctioned, okay, but yeah, like it shouldn't, because there's so many people looking at it, even on the judge's side, that it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but this person almost put them into the order. The problem is, how did it get to an order? So did
they read the cases,
That's just it. So if there was a finding made, was it made off of these hallucinations?
Right, like, did the sites, I mean, regardless of whether those citations exist, did the concept even exist?
Yeah, I mean, so they made a legal argument that that made a citation to a case in history, and it was so well founded that they found it going to be put in the order from the judge. So what was the finding that the judge had held? What the judge had to have actually gave it provenance and said, yeah, the citation and the argument that was founded on it is sufficient enough for me to make a finding. Enough to put into an order.
Means it wasn't checked at all.
And so the foundation itself was wrong. So the finding was wrong, which means that somebody could have been held responsible for something that was irresponsibly founded in a hallucination. So directly put, plaintiffs use of AI affirmatively misled the judge, Judge Wilner, wrote in a May 5th order. I read their brief, was persuaded or at least intrigued by the authorities that they had cited, and looked up the decisions to learn more about them, only to find out that they didn't exist. That's scary. So immediately they looked it up. But if they hadn't looked it up, they would have made a finding that was not supported by the citations.
Yeah, but I think this article makes it sound like they were at the point of about to publish it. I think it's more like they read this and they're like, oh, might be an interesting thing. And then they immediately read it and then went, nope, this is false.
Right. So it turned out that the AI hallucinations weren't too off the mark with their recitations of the substantive law, but that doesn't excuse the lawyer's use of AI in Wilner's view. It's pretty weak no harm, no foul defense of the conduct here, which no attorney should do that no harm, no foul, unless truly there is no harm, no foul. You know, an attorney doing, like, if it's just some Joe using AI and nothing really manifests,
right?
it doesn't
That's one
impugn
thing. But
the
if it's
integrity
somebody
of an
who has a
institution.
law firm or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this looks bad for the firm. It looks bad for the institution of law. It allows somebody that might be, you know, wing that batshit crazy to sit there and say, look, they lie all the time, that kind of stuff. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. So,
Or there's a case out there that says whatever, even though it does not.
Even though it doesn't, because if you say it again and again and again, at some point it actually becomes true because people keep on saying it again and again and again. Oh boy. And I'm actually investigating a situation kind of like that because somebody keeps saying that they are this and it doesn't hold true. So in this case, a large team of attorneys didn't notice the fake cases. Lacey is represented by what Wilner described as a large team of attorneys at a giant law firm, Big Law, K&L Gates, and a smaller firm, Ellis George LLP. Wilner described the incident as a collective debacle. So this whole discussion, wow, that both of the firms involved, the massive 1,700 lawyer national one and the smaller 45 lawyer predominantly California one have, to my knowledge, excellent reputations, and the error is not at all characteristic of their work. They are taking whoever did that and throwing every collective surveillance bus and lobbing it on them, you know, surveillance buses measure the width of
exactly
surveillance blinks.
So was this person represented by the mega firm or the other
smaller one, I believe? Yeah.
Okay.
I believe
but
it's
again,
the
it's
smaller
not
one.
like it's a one-person operation, and that doesn't excuse it.
But it was actually both. It says, noting that both of the firms involved never looked over this and clicked, you know, hey, this citation. And if they're supposed to be subject matter experts in it, then they should know the cases that they're citing to some degree.
Also, how much are they billing their clients?
Well, I'm sure that there's a line item that says AI construction rate, right? That one right there is like pennies, right?
How about the didn't review, didn't write it rate?
Yeah, the last attorney that I interacted with wanted to charge $450 an hour. So anyway, judge says don't outsource research to AI. No, outsource it to paralegals. But you're still going to have to vet it because the paralegal might use AI. We better keep going. So the next article is over in Smack Talk. No, Steam wasn't hacked, but your security habits still matter. A sketchy AI firm tried to pass off a bogus Steam breach, but it unraveled almost immediately. This one was a fake, but the next one might not be. Here's how to protect yourself. So
what do you think the point of this was? Like to click on something?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I wanted to dig a little deeper, but our standard process is to not read before the show, so that our reactions are built entirely off of what we read on the show. But anybody who tries to utilize some other platform as a way to drive home a point about security or something else, they either had better get permission from the company that they're exploiting the reputation of, or they're looking at a slander libel lawsuit, depending on if it was talked about, if it was written about, if it was amplified. They could have done reputational harm, costing people significant harm. So Andrew Orr over at appleinsider.com put the article together. So a recent claim on LinkedIn alleges that a database containing 89 million Steam account records, including one-time passcodes used for two-factor authentication, is up for sale. The asking price is $5,000, a relatively low price for a leak of the scale, considering it's a Steam account thing where billing information is embedded in it, and once you have access to the account, you could surreptitiously buy things.
Right? Couldn't you like transfer games out and do all kinds of things?
Yeah, or you just hijack it altogether. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do. So the claim was first amplified. It says Twilio denies the breach. Despite the headline-grabbing figure and some reposts online, the evidence supporting this leak was outright fabricated. Fortunately, Apple users can take advantage of the built-in Passwords app, which now support two-factor codes across iPhone, iPad, and Mac. They kind of pumped that up. But really, it says the claim was first amplified by a small cybersecurity firm, Underdark AI, which posted about it on LinkedIn. According to the write-up, a hacker going by Machine 1337. That's hacker speak, leet speak for leet, Leet. Yeah.
Lots of easier.
It's offering the data on a dark web forum, supposedly exposing two-factor authentication codes, phone numbers, timestamps for millions of Steam users. That would be alarming if it were real. However, Twilio, the cloud account communications provider, speculated that it was just bogus. Several entries are duplicates. The timestamps show no consistent pattern, suggesting the records were stitched together, et cetera, et cetera. So Steam denies it was a breach too. So in an abundance of caution, the site says secure your account. So the saga offers a good reminder of why two-factor authentication matters. Two-factor authentication adds an extra step in logging into your account. So when you log into something, you get notified of the login either through email or your phone or your Apple Watch or wherever, some other way, SMS, etc. There's some issues with SMS, but that's largely because somebody on the inside of a telecommunications company has to be able to clone an IEM so that they basically get a copy of all of the stuff that gets sent to your phone. So these codes help stop attackers even if they have your password, and the best method is to use app-based two-factor authentication. So there you go. That's what you use. So apps like Apple's built-in passwords, Steam Guard, Google Authenticator, Authy generate login codes directly on your device. But if the Chinese have done what they are claiming to have done, which is basically beaten RSA using quantum computers, it doesn't matter how good your code is, they've got it.
Yeah, but that's not the message here.
Yeah. Don't use passwords, use passphrases, make them ultra complex, and use a password manager so that you are always notified, and activate two-factor authentication wherever possible. Not everybody utilizes two-factor authentication, but you should. You want to move on?
Let's do it.
So this next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. A single person managed all of Newark Airport's flights for 3 hours.
Okay, do you think this is like a normal person playing a game like Flight Control on super speed? And it's getting more and more chaotic?
What was that app where you had to fly things? The little app that was on... Flight Control. It was actually Flight Control. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Because there were others.
There's other ones, but yeah.
Right. Okay, so it was Flight Control. I wish that game was still around. It's gone now, right? Like, they didn't... There was this big
There's
purge.
One that's like a big replica of it, I guess. It's pretty similar, but the original was better.
Yeah, I like what was the other one? Harbor Master. Harbor Master was even more fun, at least for me.
Yeah,
I really
that one doesn't seem to be replicated.
Yeah. So a single person managed all of Newark Airport's flights for 3 hours. What was interesting is I heard that there was somebody that changed the location of their wife's flight recently to avoid Newark, even though they were saying that it was safe. I don't remember all of it, but anyway, one air traffic controller managed all of the flights in Newark for 3 hours on Monday night while tech outages have delayed or canceled hundreds of flights. The article is over at Jalopnik by Ryan Eric King, and it says, oh yeah, there. So an anonymous air traffic controller told the New York Post that Newark was on the verge of a zero ATC event, a doomsday scenario where no one was at the tower at one of the country's busiest international airports. One of the controllers is canceling his day off and coming into work, but that's not going to safely cover the entire system. The lone controller, assisted by a trainee, worked from 6:30 p.m. until 9:30 p.m. within a system intended to function with 15 employees, while Newark was already operating at reduced capacity with one of its runways closed until June. Yeah, I think they even talk about it in this. Anyway. Yeah. Air traffic control at Newark Liberty have dealt with multiple outages where they've lost radio communications with aircraft, and their screens from 1980s have gone black for 90-second intervals. The FAA is working quickly to update the facility systems and replace the fried copper wiring believed to be the cause of the outages. However, the initial fixes won't be online until the end of the month.
Yeah. So beware. Plus, it's not just a problem in Newark, it's a problem across the system because it's jamming up all the other flight paths.
Yep. It'll have knock-on effects. Okay, let's keep going. And this one will have to be fast because we already talked about it briefly. Airbnb is trying to lure you back with private chefs and personal trainers. So how long has it been since you booked a place to stay at Airbnb? Well, it's been a while. It says Airbnb seemingly wants you back, whether or not you want to book a home or an apartment. Airbnb has just launched Airbnb services, in addition to its app through which you can book all types of appointments, from personal trainers to photo sessions. This is slightly different than the article above. Basically, the article above said, this is what we want to do, and this article is saying, this is what we're doing. Matt Janser over at Vice.com put the article together. Airbnb Services launches in 260 cities around the world, through which you can book everything from an affordable prepared meal to daily workouts with a celebrity trainer, as the platform puts it. So I wonder what the affordable prepared meal is. One of my wants, which isn't ever unwanted.
I don't know. Is it really affordable, though?
Yeah,
by whose
affordability
standards
is
are we
subjective.
applying? Like Celebrity Chef?
Yeah, Celebrity Chef affordable versus, let's see, a professor that uses AI to create their coursework, or an attorney. That's another level, an attorney that uses AI to try and pull one over on a judge. Let's see, what's next? Where's the intermediate one? There's got to be something in between.
Well, it's not intermediate, but how about the deli?
That's a different animal. Yeah. Is it fraudulent pump and dump deli affordable? $100 million single unit deli?
I mean, it's
affordable?
only one deli.
It is only one deli. If he wouldn't have pissed off people with big money so fast, they probably could have got away with it. So, and no, you don't have to stay on an Airbnb to book a service. You don't even have to leave the city. California Fusion Cuisine by Colin. $50 a guest? Enjoy a delivered meal featuring your choice of grilled salmon.
That looks like very high...
all day dining.
It's very fancy.
Full day of breakfast, including a hot breakfast.
Have?
Baja tacos. Dear God. Okay, sign me up. Now, $50 is a lot, folks.
Yeah, it is, but not for an exquisite meal. I mean, you wouldn't do this every day.
Have we met?
This is for people on vacation. Like, it's having vacation type experiences.
No, that is not what this is for. This is for any time, not just vacation. You don't have to be Airbnb.
Correct, but the people typically obtaining these experiences might be on vacation, because I think they might be linked or connected or whatever. I know you're not required to.
Right. So you can get chefs, photography, massage, spa treatments, which I think was massage, but I guess not. Personal training, hair, makeup, nails. I got to get my hair done. Yes, I'm delusional, like an AI hallucination. Nails, prepared meals, catering. So it says, while there seems to be no price restrictions, Airbnb says most services included an entry offering below $50. Guess I'm going to have to take a look at Airbnb services and see what they have to offer.
See, it's already working.
Yep. Moving on. Next article is over in Marble. This brewery is making beer with quinoa. What?
Yeah, I don't know about this. I mean, it is a green.
That? This is a really tiny mountain. You see? It's a really tiny mountain. You don't see it?
No, because my view is blocked.
Oh, yeah. Your sentient AI, your visual sensor is a little different.
I'm wondering if you're hallucinating, but I believe it's there. I just can't see it.
It's there. So, beer traces its roots back to the times of Mesopotamia. Seriously. It's one of the most tried and true recipes in the world, with its emphasis on barley and wheat. Craft brewers have taken extreme liberties in concocting some wild stuff, from pickle ales, which I actually saw on a shelf recently, to beers that remind you of a hot dog. All of them, though, share the same starting ingredients. That was until Brew Theory Brewery, a contract brewer, opted for something totally different. Quinoa. Yeah, I don't know about that.
I mean, I don't know why it couldn't work, right? Couldn't, in concept, any grain work? It's going to affect the taste, of course.
It'll affect the taste, and it's basically about sugars. So converting
quinoa
starches into
has
sugars.
Like a nutty flavor to it.
Right.
It's usually how it's described. So, I mean, I don't know if that would be a good or bad thing for beer.
Actually, it is. It's actually pretty good for a beer. Kyle Filippi over at Vice.com put the article together, and guess what? They say that was until Brew Theory Brewery, a contract brewer, started using quinoa. I think a real opportunity across the states, because there is nothing like us. He's correct in that notion, because Melly beer is truly something that they've never seen before. So why make it with quinoa? So it says the organic beverage is filled with nutrients and is classified as gluten-free. To no surprise, they're targeting health-conscious consumers with this offering. Foster, you might not be surprised to learn, has a background with that includes stops at Harvard and MIT. That there were over 100 formulations in a 3-year span that he and MIT team worked on before coming up with the final product. With traditional machines geared towards working with barley and wheat, the team had to turn the process at many points along the way on its head to properly accomplish their end goal. So it says, feels great in your body and doesn't feel like you had a loaf of bread. And that's one of the things about conventional beers, are basically referred to as liquid bread. So they got a lot of sugar, a lot of carb.
A lot of calories, yeah.
A lot of calories, yep. So in all seriousness, it says we've seen the craft beer industry take a hit over the past year. One of the biggest knocks on the business is it has to do with people opting for more healthy alternatives. I thought that why did they just reiterate the thing? It doesn't say, does it describe it in here?
Not really. It just says, like, you don't feel like you've had a loaf of bread, which you already covered.
Yeah, they say it there. That's weird. Why not talk about it? What does it taste like? What does the mouth feel? What does it smell like?
Right, there's definitely like some health type benefits, but most people are not going to pick a beer if they don't like how it tastes.
I'm probably sure. Well, I'm not probably sure. I'm sure that I could suss out a recipe that uses quinoa. I don't know. But I do extract brewing. Like, I don't do whole grain brewing. I get the DME from manufacturers of DME and producers of whole grains. And I can get them in various flavors and put them all together and brew my own beer. But I wonder if there's a quinoa DME kind of a thing out there, because I don't want to have to do the boil and all of that other stuff. Just not into that side of it. Anyway, we've got one more article.
For some easier brewing here.
Yeah. Well, I got 2 in the can right now. Third one is just idling there, waiting for some downtime. Next article is over in the Wanted channel. This is our last article for the May 14th, 2025 episode. Living creatures cast a faint aura that stops at death, study suggests. So when somebody says you shine bright like a diamond until you die. And then the light switch turns off. So all living things cast an eerie glow, apparently. My understanding is that this is visible with certain wavelengths, but it's been like shown as woo-woo, kind of. This is nut science kind of thing, you know. But I've always thought this because I had seen research and video about how everybody is a chimera of 2, right? Of mom and dad. And that our biology is separated, right? We split into 2 cells from 1, right? Sperm meets egg, and then we keep on separating. But there is a portion of us that is solely from mom, and a portion of us that's solely from dad, and it actually manifests as a swirl in our bodies. It actually, we have a spin to it, and but I'd have to find this video. It isn't hoo-ha science. It actually exists. We're kind of zebra-like, actually. So in this article, Natalia Mesa over at Gizmodo.com puts the article together. The text statement says what I just got done saying about all living things cast an eerie glow, apparently. The study published in the Journal of Physical Chemistry Letters found that living things glow faintly throughout their lives due to the energy released by metabolic and cellular processes. So maybe your aura actually is your metabolic processes casting the literal glow that extinguishes after your death. Monitoring this weak signal could one day help scientists track injury and disease. As cells consume energy, mitochondria release tiny amounts of reactive oxygen species, it says, ROS, as a byproduct. These ROS react with molecules including proteins, lipids, fluorophores, giving off a few sparse photons. But this light, a phenomenon called ultra-weak photon emission, or UPE, is, like its name suggests, extremely weak compared to ambient light sources and is really hard to image. It's been observed in cells belonging to plants, animals, and humans. The first time I ever saw this with plants, where they snipped the plant and you could actually see the aura of the leaf. Now,
that's
is
really
that hoo-ha? Cool. I don't know. Yeah. But never in a living, an entire living or dead animal. It says, but never in entire living or dead animals. So they've only seen it in plants, animals, and human beings. That's what it says. But not the entire being.
They've only found it in cells.
Right. They've only found it in the cells belonging to plants, animals, and human beings, but not the entire living being. Well, to capture this ghostly glow, lead author Daniel Oblak, a professor at University of Calgary, apparently placed mice in a dark temperature-controlled box and imaged them with a 2-hour-long exposure. And when they imaged a living mouse, they saw photons rising all over the body, with hotspots over its organs, head, paws. However, dead mice exhibited widespread drop-off in UPE, indicating that their light had been snuffed out, literally. Okay, that is fascinating, and now I want to do this.
Yeah, doesn't this make you wonder about people who say that they're mindful of somebody's aura or whatever? I mean, right. It makes you wonder if they can physically see it.
Yeah, it could be all hoo-ha bullshit. But science is showing that we all actually give off light. And if we're sick, maybe it changes that dimension. It's not as bright, or it's not as...
Or it's like a different intensity or whatever, which I know realize is kind of the same thing.
Right. Pretty fascinating, huh? But it seems to be nothing more than a biological process of energy conversion that gives off photons. Ultra low, but I cannot imagine photographing something long exposure for 2 hours. Like on myself, I would have to sit there with my hand in a box and with a camera on.
You'd almost have to do it if somebody's sleeping or something.
Yeah, and
Because I
duct
don't
tape
know
down.
that it would work when somebody's moving around.
Yeah, they can't move. Yeah, the moment you move, it would become a blur. The resolution would suck. So what you really need is absolute darkness, and then something that is so photonically charged that the moment it hits that sensor, it's like, okay. The only place I've ever seen that type of energy detection is these underground caverns that are filled with water, and photoreceptors line it so that they can see when a high energy particle pierces through the planet, and they just catch that thing activating. It hits another molecule and causes a little flash of light, but they have these photoreceptors to see when they see these cosmic particles fly through the planet. We need something that sophisticated to see this aura, or we need the person down the road that says that my aura is indicative of this, that, or the other. I don't want to get into it, but I've been told things. Spooky things you don't want to know.
Which may or may not match with this.
What was that? Wait, what? Say that again.
Which may or may not match with this.
You know, I just realized that we have a problem, and that problem is that the music stopped for some reason, and I am wireless, and my transmitter is so sophisticated that the moment I stop talking, it turns off everything. Anyway, that's it. Check that out. So we're going to throw ourselves into a box and sit still for 2 hours. And that's going to bring us to the front page of ohmTown.com, where you should go and become a citizen. Be sure to follow us on Twitch and on YouTube. Go back and watch 2,200 episodes of the shows, plural. There's 6 weekly shows, 1 daily show, Non Sequitur News. That's this show. Be sure to check us out on Saturday and Sunday. 6 unique shows, all different news. There's rarely a duplicate. Sometimes there's really something exciting that we pull into the weekly show as well, because not everybody subscribes to just Non Sequitur. Anyway, thanks very much for being the co-host, Sentient AI. You want to say bye?
Bye, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News. Be back tomorrow for another episode.
I was expecting more. Okay. See you soon. Bye-bye.